Okay, we'll get started. There are some handouts back in my left on the last table there, so if you don't have a handout, you can get a handout there. Our main topic today is best software for the PC and laptop. I'll be presenting. My name's Tom Kreuzer. Before we get to the main topic, there's just a couple of slides for the club. Future meetings, our next meeting in the Caribbean room is Friday, February 23rd, and it'll be on Linux desktop operating system, and it'll be by Bob and Jeff and myself. We'll be talking about our experiences that we've had with Linux there. So Linux would be an option if you didn't want to use Windows and you have a machine, you can load it up and do some things there, and we'll talk about that. The next MaxSig is Wednesday, January 31st, and that's in the 201 auditorium. Our officers, Jim Holman is our president, and Jim's right there. Linda Brown is our vice president. Paul Ebert, and I don't see Paul here, is our membership secretary. Mike Griffin is our treasurer and MaxSig leader. Stan Miller is our secretary. Andrew Petrucci is our communication coordinator. And my name is Tom Kreuzer. I'm a director at large. Members old and new. If Paul was here, I'd say give it to Paul there. Since Paul isn't here, you can give it to myself or Jim, and we'll take care of it. Just a reminder, if you're changing emails, make sure and notify us, because that's the way that we can keep in touch. If you have suggestions for topics, you can email your topics to us or talk to any of the board members. We're always looking for people to volunteer to present on hardware or software. Could be something you use at home or at work. And if you don't want to present, we do have a monthly eBytes newsletter, and you can write a short, meaning a couple of sentences, or a couple of pages for the newsletter if you want to do that. Website, past meeting slides and handouts are out there. We usually try and record it. That's what I was doing just before we started here. I was turning on our recorder. So we usually post that. It has the screenshots and the audio. So at any time you can go back, or if you missed one, you can go out and see if it's out there and watch it. And we put the newsletter out there, and this is where you can find it. It's also in the emails that you get. Also out there this month is we do our annual PC survey, and thank you for everyone who responded to that. That's available out there. It's kind of interesting to see the trends and stuff like that, and we use that information to plan these meetings, pick topics, and just try and keep up with what people have out there. So thank you for all the people that responded. Any club questions before we get to the main topic? Okay. Format of this meeting, I'm going to list a bunch of stuff that I use. You can participate. You can ask questions since we have a lot to cover. Kind of have to make the questions quick, and I'll try and make the comments quick. We've got a lot of different software. I won't go into a lot of detail or that on it, because some of this software we've covered before, and frankly we could spend almost a whole hour on one of these pieces of software there. We may not get to everything, so don't worry about if we don't get there. Okay, our topic is best software for the PC and laptop by myself here. The list that I've got on here contains software and sites to do most of the tasks that most people need to do, and best of all, most of them are free. So there aren't too many that cost money there. Typically these free programs, they're either open source, where programmers are doing the work for free, or they're from a company that offers this free basic version, and then if you want the more advanced or pro version, they have a version that you can then buy or subscribe to. I always recommend to people don't pay money. You can usually start out with the free version and see if it's really what you want. And if you run out of features or need certain things that are only available, then you could buy the more advanced version. But most people get by with the free version there. I'll mention here that Windows 10, like your phone and your tablet, supports apps. And those apps are available from the Microsoft Store. And I've kind of been waiting ever since Windows 10 came out to see more and more apps out there, like you see out at the Google Play Store or out on for the Apple there, where you've got literally millions of apps doing everything there. Unfortunately, there hasn't been that many apps available in the Windows 10 store there. I hope that more come out, but at this point, there's not too many out there. There's simple ones out there for weather, and there's a Facebook. The Facebook is out there, and a few other things, but not a whole lot has been out there yet. Okay, most of the software I mentioned or the sites that I mentioned are free, except there are a few that do cost money, and I note that on the sheet, and we'll talk, or I'll mention it in here also. The other nice site to go out to is this www.ninite.com. This is an installer or update software that'll do everything all at once, do a bunch of software all at once. And it'll install and update many of the programs that we're going to be talking about today, and it'll do it all without crapware or extra ads or pop-ups or toolbars or things like that. So they have all these different categories, and you can pick one or all, a bunch of these. And then when you click go there, it'll go through and install it. It'll install it all with defaults, so you don't have to sit there and keep clicking and things like that. On a 64-bit machine, it'll install the 64-bit apps. Works in the background. It is just a nice little site that'll update or install so it knows the difference. If you've already got it, it'll update it. Otherwise, it'll install it from brand new there. So it can save you a little bit of time instead of individually going out to sites or downloading this software one at a time there. The other place to get some of this that I recommend is www.download.com. This is the CNET site for downloading software, and you can also look at reviews, and you can get a lot of information. They rate them, users rate them, there's comments, there's alternatives, kind of like if you go out to the Google Play or the iTunes and then looking for apps. This is kind of the equivalent of that. The only caution that I put out there is watch what you click on to download, because they do have a lot of different buttons, and there's ads and things like that. It's not harmful stuff, but obviously they're trying to sell stuff, and they're trying to sell installers and things like that. Some of the information, so this is an example of doing a search for Earthan View. You'll get the review and scores, so it'll show both what the company itself rated this package and users have rated this package, which is kind of nice. You have the number of downloads, so like in this case, what is there, 81 million downloads there. So kind of, like I say, like the Google Player, that gives you an idea, is this really a popular software, or is it relatively new and maybe buggy or things like that. Yep. Yeah, I'm not sure why they end up with several different ones. I think people can nominate other programs. It's essentially the same thing. This will install the 64-bit version or the 32-bit version. So in some cases, yes, you do see multiple. but either one's going to give you the same, and you'll see where it talks about the version and the last update, and you can check those to see if one is newer than the other or that. Okay. And then it'll list the cost, whether it's free or to purchase. You know, you get 90-day trial or something like that. It'll list that there. If you go into the details, so I clicked on like the Earthband view and went to the detail. The detail is going to show you a few helpful things there. You'll see similar programs, and so you can see some other suggested programs. This is the button to do the install, where it says download now, and we'll talk a little bit. You can see there's other ads and other buttons around that if you click it, you're going to go to other places or get other things besides the software there. So that's where I say there's a lot of busy stuff on some of these screens. Make sure what you read and what you'll see there. This is also some more detail from the download there. I mentioned this will show you the version that is being downloaded. It also has the date that it was added. You'll see the reviews and the scores. So you know, if it had a lot of 1 stars, you might want to look at some of the reviews and see, well, why did people rate it 1 star? What didn't they like about it? That kind of thing. This shows the size, so is this a large program or a small program? This will give you kind of an idea there. Okay, another useful site out there is www.alternative2.net. And this is a site that you can go out to, so if you have a package that you're either paying for, or even if it's a free program and you want to see if there's something else that maybe you want to try, that you can try that might do things better than what you're currently using, this is a site that'll go out there and it'll list other free or less expensive alternatives, and it'll have the stuff by popularity there. So it's kind of a nice little site there. Okay, let's talk about some of the software. And like I mentioned, this is software that I personally use myself, and we'll talk about some of the uses that I do. In the creativity category, I do use the Earthband View. It's a fast, compact image viewer, so it'll show you files in about 30 or 40 different formats it's able to read and show you. It also lets you convert, so if you wanted to convert a file from one format to another, this will let you convert it. It lets you do screen captures and editing of the screen captures, so you can crop it and you can save that as a file or do other things. And I mentioned it's compatible with a wide range of formats there. It also lets you, I think, rename the files and some other features and functions in there also. Yeah, in Windows you have the option of setting up defaults for a file extension. So like JPEG, whenever you click on a JPEG, what application does it open? When you do the install, I believe it asks if you want to set this up. You can choose whether you want this or don't want it. If at a later time you want to switch, let's say you have Microsoft Photo as your default and now you want to switch, you can go into the Windows setup and you can change the defaults at any time to point to other applications there. Yes, Jim?
For your Earthband viewer, there's also fast on image viewer, which actually catalogs. It has a little bit like the language catalog function to it. And that works very good. That's also does all the same things.
Yeah. So there's quite a few different features in there. Slideshow, it'll do slideshows. I believe I've used it to take a bunch of pictures and randomize them, the names. So if you're looking for a slideshow to show them in a different order and things like that, or in a random order. You can do that. So there's quite a number of features and functions in there, and that's why it is a very, very popular program if you deal with image files and stuff like that. And it is strictly image files. It's not anything else that it deals with. Okay. The next one, iSpring Cam 8. You can use it to record any part of your PC screen and the audio into a video that can be uploaded to YouTube or can be saved as a Windows movie video there. I use it to record the PC Club meetings. I also use it for short help or demo videos. So if somebody is asking me how to do something and it's just easier for me to go through and show them, I'll turn that on, record what I did, speak into the mic, and tell them, well, now do this and now do that, and maybe in 1 minute you can show them how to do something that it'd take you a page or more to try and describe and tell them. So a very nice little recorder, and like it says, you can directly upload it to YouTube, and once you have it on YouTube, then you can send links to whoever you want there and that, and that's where the PC Club meetings are stored, is out on YouTube, and the website just points to YouTube and brings you up the meeting there. Okay. This is another one, YTD Video Downloader. It'll let you download or convert videos from YouTube or Facebook to a PC video file. So if you're in Facebook and there's a nice video out there and you say, gee, I'd like to have that, or maybe you want to edit it into a smaller version, or you just want to keep it so that you have it in your area, this is a way for you to download that video and then keep it there. So if I have nephews and family members that'll post videos out there, well, rather than that video kind of getting lost or harder to find, I'll download it myself, and then now I store it out on Google Photos. We've talked about Google Photos before, and now I've got it in my library, and I can do whatever I want with it there. So it's just kind of nice. Okay. And this is an example of, there's a basic version that's free, and then I'll try and sell you the more advanced version. And if you need the features or need the speed or want to do a bunch of converts, it can be easier with the paid version there. Okay, another one in the creativity is Audacity. This is for audio. It's editor or recorder, and it also supports a number of effects, mixing, and multi-track interface. Personally, I've used it to convert. I have a record collection of over 1,500 records, and I've converted all those to MP3 files, and this is a package. You can clean up clicks and pops. You can do things like that, but the basics is just recording it and then saving it as an MP3 file there. So very nice there. This is what do you want to call it? I mean, it's the Paint.net. It's probably the closest thing to Adobe Photoshop that you can get for free. So this is a free package. You can edit your pictures. It does support layers, so if you wanted to do the Photoshop kind of thing, take a person and put them in a picture where they weren't, or take stuff out, this supports those kinds of effects, and it has many, many other tools. So it's a powerful thing. It's maybe not the easiest package to use, because it is a free package, but it does have a number of features and functions that you won't find in basic editors. You know, your basic photo editor is going to let you adjust the contrast and do a black and white and an invert and a few features like that. This gives you that whole range of editing and working with it, and the fact that it supports multiple layers for a photographer, that lets you get very creative with it. Okay, that's it for the creativity side. On the entertainment side, Apple iTunes. I use Apple iTunes. It has a whole bunch of features in there that are very nice. And downside of using Apple iTunes, if you've ever used it, is it's a slow package. It's slow to start up. It's slow to shut down. Excruciating updates. Almost every time I run it, it's got a new version and it's got to update, and sometimes it wants to reboot the machine and it really doesn't have to reboot the machine, and just has some things there. But for all of the bad things, it's a very powerful package for managing your audio there, your MP3s there. The thing that I especially like in the package is a feature called the Genius playlist. Does anybody else use the playlist there, the Genius playlist? Okay, one. If you create playlists, and I mentioned that I took like all my records, 1,500 records. Well, that means I've got 50,000 songs out there in my library. What I can do is I can take any one of those songs, I can right mouse click on it and hit the Genius playlist, and it'll generate a playlist of 100 songs that are compatible with the one song that I picked. So it's instead of me going through and picking songs and making a playlist, it automatically will make a playlist based on the music I have in my library and the one song that I picked. So it looks at similar stuff from that year, or maybe from that artist, or things like that. And so it's not just taking, well, I'm going to take all the songs from that album, or I'm going to take all the songs from this artist, or things like that. No, it does a really, really good job of creating a playlist. And I like a good playlist that fits what I want. So if your song category is ballads or that, you'll end up with all ballads, just from different artists and different albums that you have. So it's really nice. Yeah.
That software includes the live, I think it's live radio broadcast, thousands of stations.
Yeah, iTunes, live radio. Also, you have classes and stuff like that. So if you're looking for education on how to do things, not everything costs you money. So I don't buy anything in iTunes. I've loaded all my records. I have like 500 CDs. So I've got a lot of music that I own that I've loaded into iTunes and now have available. But there's a ton of stuff out on the iTunes cloud that is free. You don't have to purchase or stuff like that, whether it's podcasts or things like that are out there. Yes?
I was just going to say that Genius playlist is kind of similar to what Pandora does online. So.
Right. It's just that it's a case of if it's doing it with your library and what you have. So instead of a radio station, a soft rock radio station, this is your deal. And so I'll create my playlist, I'll download it to my different devices, that kind of thing. So I jog and do other things and have little MP3 players. I'll change those maybe once a month or once every 2 months. I'll put a brand new playlist down there and that. Yeah. I have big shelves, and that's getting to be a touchy point because the digital, I mean, all you need is a large hard drive. Yeah. And actually what you can do if you do go through and digitize it, so I've digitized it, I have it on my hard drive. Google Music lets me upload everything. So I can have it on the cloud in Google Music, but I also have it locally, on my hard drive and things like that. Now, it isn't compatible with some of the other things. If you have an Alexa and you want to play music there, well, Amazon has its own music service, and you can put, 500 songs out there or something like that?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Well, I've still got them out there.
Well, if you got them out there, you're okay, but
They put that? Okay. Yeah. And if you've got Amazon Prime, it's a non-issue. But if you don't have Amazon Prime and you have your own music and you want to do things, there are cloud services or different places to put stuff. Okay. I mentioned here the Microsoft Windows Media Player. I do use that also. That comes with Windows because I found that it's easier to rip the CDs, to convert the CDs into MP3s. I'll use that. Also to sync some of my playlists with some of my devices, it's easier to use that than it is iTunes. So that's where, sometimes you have to use multiple programs. To add tags or change the metadata. So whenever you rip CDs or rip records to MP3s, you want to get the information about the artist and the label for the album and things like that. Well, to set some of that stuff up, I've just found it's easier to do some of that in the Windows Media Player than it is in iTunes. But the Windows Media Player will update the files, and then Apple iTunes is reading that information. So it's utilizing the same information. I don't have duplicate libraries of all these songs or anything like that. They're both working with the same library there. Okay, finance. In the past, I've talked about Quicken. It's a total money management to track your expenses, budgets, and more. Unfortunately, it's no longer owned by Intuit. Intuit sold it off. Intuit is a company that owns Mint, and they're suggesting users use Mint. The company that took over Quicken is also changing. This year, they aren't selling an upgrade to their package. You have to buy a subscription, and it's a yearly subscription. And depending on the level, that subscription costs anywhere from $35 for the year or $90 for the year. So I'm not real happy with that. I just as soon use something else. Unfortunately, Mint doesn't have all the features that I liked in Quicken. It can do an awful lot, but it's not as strong in the reporting side and some of the other things in there. So I'm still using Quicken, but I have not upgraded to their subscription there. But if you don't upgrade to the subscription, what you're going to lose is the ability to connect and download transactions from like your bank and your broker and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think Quicken's kind of slowly going to die, unfortunately. Yes.
If you switch over to Mint, is there the ability to get your data from Quicken into Mint?
Not that I'm aware of. What you have to do, the way Mint kind of works is you go into it and then you start registering all your different accounts. So like your bank account, and you give it the online password and that. And then it'll extract as much as it can from those sites, but it doesn't have an option that says import what I have in Quicken, because the level of detail that you have in Quicken is more than what you have in a Mint. But it can do a lot of things, and as I mentioned here, I've done a little bit with Mint, and if you're just starting out, you've never done a budget program or never used Quicken or stuff like that, certainly I'd recommend start with Mint there, put in your accounts. it gathers your information. It automatically tries to categorize your transactions from like your credit card. This is dining, and this is groceries, and this is, so it'll do a lot of stuff automatically, and certainly connect to all your different accounts out there. And it does all that for free, so certainly I'd give that a try there. Okay, productivity. One that I use is Microsoft OneNote, and this is a free application from Microsoft. It kind of falls into that category of, you know, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, but Microsoft, since they came out with it later, just made it available free of charge by itself. You can download, and there's also apps. So if you have a tablet or an Apple device, you can get Microsoft OneNote on those devices, and then anything that you put in is shared between all the different devices, because any document that you're creating or these tabs that you create are stored up on the cloud, and as you create these checklists or you know, lists or thoughts, anything that you put out there is available on all the other devices also. So I find it very handy to put my shopping lists, and when I do presentations or I have an idea for a presentation, I'll just create a tab out there and I'll just start throwing in some links from different sites that have some information or possible areas that I might talk about. I'll just start throwing that stuff together out there, and then when I get closer to actually doing a presentation, then I start organizing it and adding more detail in that. But a great little tool there for putting this in. It's not a tool, it's not meant to be a tool to create documents. So if you're writing a letter or you're a manual or stuff like that, this isn't the tool for doing that. A word processor is a tool for doing things like that. This is like it says, capture your thoughts, your text, organize. You can put images in there. You can take pictures and add them into your comments and things like that. And it really is geared towards phones and tablets and just quick information there. This is a new one. The tool that I was using before for doing Ancestry, I think I had talked about it years ago, was from the Mormons, and the Mormons quit supporting the tool. Was a free tool, and so now I've converted over to this tool, MyHeritage Family Tree Builder, and it lets you build your family tree and document, add pictures, add notes, all kinds of stuff in there. The free version lets you build your tree and add info. It also connects to the MyHeritage online system and will put your family tree up there, but there's limits to your family tree up there. 250 people is the maximum, and then you have to pay. So it doesn't take long if you've ever done Ancestry to have more than 250 people, but you don't have to buy anything on their site or even store yours up on their site there, but you can do it all locally on your PC. You can add all this information. This information can be exported to a common format that if you wanted to bring it into another Ancestry program, can be brought into another Ancestry program too. So that's the other advantage of a package like this. It does let you import and export in these common formats there. But I find it, actually I took my stuff that I had in the Mormon system and brought it in and just enhanced it in here. And then obviously they're trying to get you to buy their services, which are monthly or yearly, and access to all this stuff. And they'll make suggestions of, oh, we found this other tree that has this person. If you want to add that in, subscribe and do some things there. So if you're into the Ancestry stuff, certainly it's one of the more popular ones. Okay. And before I did this, I actually did check with the 3M does have what is it? It's not Ancestry. Genealogy. I couldn't think of what the name of the club was. They do have a genealogy club, so if you are interested in that, I'd highly recommend that you contact them. And this is one of the packages. Like I say, when I was looking at packages, I contacted them and said, "Well, do you guys have any recommendations of a free package?" And they listed this, and they listed one other one, and I actually downloaded both of them, tried them a little bit. I found this one to have more features and functions without paying anything there. Okay. Okay, another recommendation I have is Google Docs. Google Docs, we talked about it quite a number of times here at the club, is from Google. It gives you word processing, spreadsheet, and presentations or slides. And you can do it all online, so you don't have to have anything down on your PC. Or they also have a few of the services that if you have like a tablet or a phone or that, there's a specific app for the spreadsheet and things like that that can make it even easier to use. As it's mentioned here, the 3 apps are available as web applications or as mobile apps for an Android or an iOS devices there. And so you don't have to buy like Office 365. Now, can it do everything that Office 365 does? No. But for most people, it's going to give you all the features and functions that you need to create documents or to work with spreadsheets, print them out, things like that. Yeah.
At one time, you recommended an open office as a replacement for the Microsoft Suite. Do you still recommend that, or is there something else that's...
Open Office is still a popular program. I'm sure a few of the people here are still using it. That's a standalone. You download it to your PC and it'll run there. So Google is more of a cloud solution where you don't have to download. Your files are stored up on the cloud. And the advantage of that is the ability to look at, update, do everything from all the different devices that you may have, be it multiple PCs or tablet or a smartphone. You can look at this stuff. So the cloud can make it a lot easier, and then you're not having to download new versions or do stuff either if you're going at it that way. Okay. Oh, same thing. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you know, what you run into with some of the cloud packages is they may not be as fast as a program running on your PC. You know, give it a try and see. Most people will get by with the cloud version. So, like an example of the Google Docs. A guy was saying, I forgot the name of the package that he had bought for voice recognition. And he was talking about that, and he was having trouble with that. And I said, well, you know, you really didn't have to buy the voice recognition. If you just do Google Docs and go up, there's an option up in there, voice, turn that on. You know, I can say the quick brown fox jumped the hen house and went this, new paragraph, this, and you'll see it dictated and writing it out right on the screen. And it's very, very accurate with translating your voice into text and putting it into the document. So it's features like that that are even more advanced than some of the other programs that are out there, you know, for free there. And the voice actually works very nice, you know, especially if you don't like typing on a small phone or stuff like that, you can get the stuff in on your tablet or that. But it even works on obviously on a PC or any other device there, as long as you've got a microphone. And if you don't have a microphone on your desktop, you can get a microphone for $5 or $10.
Would that work from like an MP3 or some other digital voice recording? Will it translate that to text?
Yeah, it'll work from anything there. So it's similar. The technology is the exact same thing. If you think of Siri or Google Now or any of that, where you speak in and it does the searches and stuff like that. Well, it's that ability to understand speech, look at it in the context, and give the best translation that it can come up with there. And then there are keywords if you're going to use it, like I mentioned in Google Docs. There are keywords where you can say new line, new paragraph, keywords like that, which will bump it down and stuff like that. Otherwise, it'll just you say period. Okay, that's the end of the sentence, and then we'll start a new sentence and it'll capitalize and things like that. Okay. I mentioned Google Mail here. In my opinion, Google Mail is the best email out there. You also have the Google Calendar and the Google Contacts. And I mentioned here, don't use your Comcast or CenturyLink email. And the main reason for that is because most of us switch providers. So you switch from Comcast to CenturyLink or things like that, and you don't want to lose your email. So you're best just not to use their email at all and use a Gmail account for all your signing up for things on the web and your interaction with friends and family and stuff like that. It's just best to use a Gmail account.
That's all well and good, but if years ago you started out using Comcast, and now you've got this huge network using Comcast, it's an awful lot of work to change.
To get the individual emails, yes. For the other things like contacts, most of the packages will let you export and import. So you can move the contacts fairly easily back and forth. It's the email, and if you've created all kinds of folders and stuff like that, really your only option there is to take them and send them to your new email account and then recategorize them there. If you want to keep stuff like that, but I think because most of us end up changing or switching from a Comcast or things like that, it's just if at some point you're going to have to get off the old email there. Okay. The interesting thing on the email, even though I say you have to get off, I'm going through it with my dad because my dad had Comcast and he just terminated the service. Actually, they don't terminate your email. If you use your email, at least every 90 days it'll stay open. So you can send and receive and your folders are all out there. I didn't tell him that. Because I wanted him to get converted over to Gmail and that. So we got most everything converted over, but if there are some other things, I can still go out to his old account and see everything and see the new stuff that it's come in and say, oh, we forgot to change this one, let's change that.
Repeat that. It's open for 90 days or it's open?
You have to use it 90 days, but you have to use the Comcast. Let's say it's Comcast there. You would have had to have gone into the Comcast email at least 90 days before you terminated, and then at least every 90 days thereafter. If you are inactive for 90 days, then they'll delete everything. But they leave it open for you, which is kind of nice, but don't just leave stuff out there. It just gives you a little extra time to convert over and get stuff. Okay?
How does somebody access
Well, it terminated your Comcast account, but obviously you still have your password in your account. If you go out to the website, you can still log in with that. Actually the same kind of for the phone too. If you get the Comcast phone, the phone will stay out there. So if you have old messages, as long as you're kind of getting them off of there and that. Yeah. I don't know about CenturyLink. Like I say, I always thought, bang, the date that you terminate, it disappears there and that. But I was surprised in this case that I'm sure over the years they've had so many people say, oh, I need to get this back and that they just kept it a little bit longer. And space doesn't cost them that much. So I guess it's just a service that for their own benefit, so that people weren't calling them asking to get back stuff. Okay. Security. This is a package. It's called Malware Bytes, anti-malware. And that's all it does is malware. It'll find and fix malware and rogue software and other antivirus that other antivirus programs often miss. So it's in addition to an antivirus deal. If you think that you have pop-up ads or stuff like that bothering you, you can run this and check, and it'll clean it off. Yeah, the Pro version, and this will bug you all the time to update to the Pro version, but most people will use this after they may have an infection of malware and just want to get rid of the ads and toolbars and some things like that they want to get rid of. So it's a nice little program. The free version will find and remove the stuff. The Pro version, you have scheduling and things like that extra features there that you can do. Antivirus, I mentioned here AVG antivirus or Avast. Those are two of the biggest free antivirus. But if you do have Comcast or CenturyLink, you can get the Norton antivirus for free. And I recommend that over the AVG or the Avast there. Use the free versions that you get from Comcast. They're more user-friendly. They usually have a few more features and stuff like that. The Microsoft Windows Defender has gotten to the point where it's almost as good as AVG or Avast, but I'd still use a package like AVG. In the last year, there's been different articles. Some of them say, yeah, you don't have to put on an AVG, just use Defender. But Defender, in most of the tests, will end up in the middle of the pack. It's not the best, and it's not the worst.
If you got your Comcast antivirus,
yeah, by default, it'll turn it off. If you've installed Norton, it usually goes in and turns it off because you don't want to have multiple antivirus programs. It'll slow down your machine and stuff like that. So usually it will automatically turn them off there. Now, when we talked about like a Norton or stuff like that, you have to be careful because the version of Norton is the specific version for Comcast or CenturyLink. It is not the one that you got installed on your PC or laptop when you bought it. So the first thing usually you have to do when you get a new device and you get Norton already installed is to uninstall that version of Norton. You want to get rid of that. Otherwise, when the 90-day trial runs up, it's going to bug you to, well, you got to pay so much a month or so much a year there to continue the Norton. So you're best to uninstall that, and we talked a little bit about that, about when you get a new PC, things to do, and that's one of the things to do is uninstall that and then install go out to Comcast or CenturyLink. They have a website, they have a button to click, and you click that, and that will install their version, and that version is free for you to use. No update charge or anything.
Would you recommend then running the Norton free version along with the Malwarebytes?
Malwarebytes is a separate software that if you are having trouble with pop-up ads, toolbars, or stuff like that, that'll help get rid of that stuff. And you could run it maybe once every 6 months or a year and just check. But personally, myself, I don't run the Malwarebytes all the time or that. I don't have a problem there, but it's worthwhile running occasionally in case you might have gotten something there. Okay. This is another little program that's called File Shredder. It'll wipe or destroy files beyond recovery. Normally when you delete a file, all Windows does is kind of flag it and then move it to the trash bin, so it's easy to recover. And even if you empty your trash with these other programs, you could recover that file fairly easily there. This will go and completely destroy it so that no package is going to be able to recover it there. It ends up writing over it, in some cases 20 times or more, writing different bytes over it, which make it unrecoverable. We talked before about backup. The package that I use is this Koban backup. Even though it hasn't been updated since 2012, I still love the package. I haven't found one that does the same things that it does as fast and as easily as it does it. So I still use it. I've seen mention of Paragon backup and recovery that's been mentioned. I haven't tried that one yet, but this is what I use for backing up. These are kind of browser extensions or add-ins. So I use a package called AdBlock Plus. It's the world's most popular browser ad blocker. So those pop-up ads and different things there, it'll block that stuff. Some of the sites don't like it, so the site itself will come back and say, hey, you're blocking our ad. That's the way we make money. Please turn it on. And I kind of go, well, if you're that greedy, I can probably do without your site totally there. So I usually don't turn it on. You can turn it on for certain sites, but I try and keep it blocked for everything there. AdBlock Plus is available for Internet Explorer, Firefox, and Chrome. So whatever browser you use, you should be able to put in the extension there. I use Chrome. I prefer Chrome for most everything. And I think I talk a little bit about that. I think I have it listed in here. If I don't, I'll try and mention it there. Another add-in that I use, and Jim talked about it earlier this year, and the passwords is LastPass. It's to save your passwords and automatically fill in things. Nice package, lets you do things there. Travel, Google Earth. I use Google Earth just to look some things up. Sometimes when I'm traveling or going to a location that I haven't been before, just to see what some of the streets may look like or some of that stuff, I'll pull it up. I also use it, I mentioned in here, for Picasa. For my photographs, I like to geotag the location of the photographs. And so if I didn't shoot it with my phone, which will automatically geotag stuff, I'll add the geotag with Picasa, which then uses Google Earth to identify the location. Utilities, Notepad++, that's different than the standard Notepad that comes with the Windows. It supports a bunch of different features and functions in there, especially if you're coding or looking at stuff like XML or HTML or things like that. it parses it out, color code stuff, and makes it easy to work with there. Nice little program. CC Cleaner lets you zap temporary files, log files, cookies, browser history, old registry entries, and even wipe space clean. So it'll, we mentioned the file before, file shredder. It'll do some of the file shredder functionality too of permanently deleting files. So you could use that also there, but it's a nice little utility there. It's kind of an equivalent type of a thing there. I guess I've used CC Cleaner for, I bet, 20 years. Quite a number of years I've used their product and that. But yeah, there's certainly other little tune applications that'll go through and let you modify startup and registry entries and things like that. No, I don't, because nowadays the extra files, usually I've got plenty of hard disk space. It usually isn't impacting performance too much. The deleting temporary files and stuff like that, that's a love-hate relationship, because if you get rid of them, that means the next time you go out to the site, it has to download the stuff. So is it faster or anything? Depending on what you do, it can be faster to leave the files, or it can be faster to get rid of them. So, you can try it and see what works there. ScreenPresso, this is another application. Earlier I mentioned for screen capture, and that this will let you do screen captures. It also lets you highlight, blur, and other features. So let's say you were trying to send somebody the Mint, your Mint screen. Well, you could capture the Mint screen and you could blur certain areas so that they couldn't see your account number or your actual values there. So it can be a nice little application for doing that, or highlighting a certain area. Undelete 360. So I mentioned before, when there's times when you want to totally delete something, well, this is kind of the reverse. You accidentally deleted something or a file disappeared and you want to get it back. This is a nice little program. It'll work with a USB drive, just about anything where you can store a file. You can go in and you can restore files there. Another utility, Belarc Advisor. This is a utility which will kind of do an inventory of your PC, an audit of your PC in your browser, and it'll show details on the hardware and the software that you have. And it gives, maybe 10 pages of information about your PC and that. So it's a nice little utility, especially if you're getting a new PC and want to know what software you currently have or what versions you have out there. This will tell you a lot of information there. Oh, here's Chrome. So that's what I mentioned. In my opinion, it's the best browser for most people. It's very fast. Best collection of extensions, shared bookmarks. So it shares it between my phone and my tablet and my other devices. I have all my bookmarks coordinated in there. Easiest operation. I use a lot of Google Apps or Google, Google Docs and things like that. Well, it has the best integration with those, so that's why I recommend it. I also recommend, if you are a developer, you may want to also have Firefox. Firefox is a better tool for a developer. It lets you troubleshoot HTML and hover over HTML, and it'll show you the values, and you can change them, and so you can do some things. So Firefox is more powerful than Chrome for doing development, but most people aren't developers. So, and I have both of them, but I use Chrome most of the time there. TeamView. TeamView is a remote control. You can remote control a PC via the internet, and once you connect, so if I connect this to my dad's PC, I have TeamViewer on my dad's PC, I can take complete control of that PC. I see his screen up here. Anything I type is going to his screen. My mouse movements are going to his screen, and I can fix the problem that he had or the question that he had there. And I'll also let you do file transfer, so I can physically transfer a file from his PC to my PC. It also lets you do online meetings, and you can use it to display your own screen. Like I mentioned here, I use it to fix my family and relatives' PCs. Now, they have to load the software and do that, but once they load the software, I can reboot their machine and connect back into it without them even there, as long as they've given me permission. And they have to give me permission there. So, yes.
The nice thing about TeamViewer is you can also run it from like a tablet. If you're not using an Android tablet, it doesn't work Android, but if you're using an Apple tablet, you can connect and do the same thing. So it's available to
Yeah, it like Jim's mentioning, it lets you connect from different devices. I believe it also works for the Mac
Mac,
and stuff like that. So,
Windows, but not Android.
right. I mentioned here Google Drive Reader DC. It's kind of a strange name, but basically it's the Google software that saves and shares files with the cloud. So it'll automatically move stuff up and down to the cloud. It could be documents that you're dealing with, could be photos that you're dealing with. It'll automatically move that stuff up and down for you. So it can be a nice little tool there. Adobe Acrobat, I use Adobe Acrobat. There are other PDF readers out there, but for the capabilities and the features, I prefer Adobe Acrobat over some of the supposed faster versions there. It also has Chrome extensions that work very nice. Within Chrome, I also use another extension that's called Stylish, and I use it, the only thing I use it for is to change the color of the visited links to red. The default color in Chrome is, for me anyway, is hard to tell it from the unvisited color. So when you do a Google search and you see results, I like to know which sites I've already been to before. The visited ones where I've been there. This makes it evident for me exactly which sites I've been to and which ones I haven't been to. This we won't go into here. I said we probably wouldn't get to everything. These are a list from the CNET site of some of their top downloads. And some of them we've already talked about, but there are some other ones in there that you can kind of take a look at. Also, you could go out to the CNET site and certainly pull up popular applications and see what's out there also. If you've got specific software that you really like and that, we can include it in the next e-bytes. Just send me an email with a sentence or two and I'll include it in the next e-bytes with your software. And questions? Any questions, comments?
Do you have a Dropbox that you prefer?
The Dropbox that I use actually is the Google Drive. Google Drive, looks like a drive with subdirectories and stuff like that. You can share with a particular person, or you can leave it open to anybody. You can send them a link. You can have them edited in place. So some of the stuff within the PC Club, like Linda Brown will be updating things for the picnic, the spreadsheet of who's attending for the picnic. Well, both of us go out there and edit the same document, view the same document, and are working on that. So it can work very nice there. And if the person you're working with has a Gmail account, then you can specify exactly this person is the only person that can edit, or they can just view it, or whatever permissions you want to give them. And Google Drive, you get 15 gigabytes of space for free, and that's kind of a little bit misleading, because if I use the functionality of Google Docs and create their word process, a document in their word processor and a spreadsheet and stuff like that, none of those documents that I create count against my space. So I could have 50 gigabytes of Excel type files out there that are really Google Docs spreadsheets, and it doesn't count against my space. So I haven't had to buy any space, and we talked before about the photos, and that photos putting out there are free, so that doesn't count against anything. So you can store an awful lot of stuff out there in the 15 gigabytes. Other questions? Yeah.
Have you ever done anything that allows you to put, say, passwords into a Adobe Acrobat file without having the full version of Adobe Acrobat?
I had a package before that let me. I haven't recently looked out there. That would be a good search out on that CNET download site. And at best, what you'll find out there is some of the packages, the more sophisticated packages that let you do it free for 30 days or stuff like that. So if you only have one little need to add some pages or add some stuff to a PDF file, you might be able to get by with some of that. The other thing to look at in that respect is do a Google search, and frequently you might find a website out there that will let you do it all in the cloud. So there's no software you have to download. You just take your PDF, upload it, it lets you modify it there. So you could check that out and see. Oh, I guess maybe I misunderstood. I thought you were talking about taking an existing PDF and editing the PDF. What you're talking about is a little bit different there. So if you're familiar with any of the zip and unzip programs, if you get a zip file, there has to be a program to unzip it. If you use one of the zip unzip programs, you can put passwords in there. So when you zip it, you put it in with a password, and then the only person that can unzip it is somebody who has that password. Otherwise, it's all encrypted. If you look at it, it's unreadable. There's nothing in there that they can get. But that's the easiest way to send something to somebody. The other way, if you do end up with a lot of that, you can take your entire email and encrypt it so that they're the only one who can read it. Otherwise, your email is completely visible to everybody, of everything that you have in there, including attached files. But if that attached file is encrypted, that's all the person's going to get is an encrypted file. They can't do anything unless they have the key or the password to unencrypt it. Okay? Any other questions? Okay, thanks for coming.
Thank you.